Hey everyone, I'm Emma Bennett.
And I'm Jacqueline Lemp.
Welcome to Pop Takes, which is also known as the segment in which E23 friendships are ruined.
Let's hope we can keep this friendship together in the next few minutes. Tonight we will be debating whether or not certain movie franchises should continue to release films in wake of the announcement of Toy Story 4.
I'm going to start us off right now. I think Toy Story 4 is going to be great. Not only because Pixar has been putting out so many movies that have been great, like Coco and Inside Out, I feel like it's just going to be successful no matter what anybody says. Like, I remember when Toy Story 3 came out, a few people were kind of skeptical, like, what are we going to do? Andy's grown up, they're toys, where are we going to go with this? And I thought the way they took that story was very unique and very well thought out, and I thought it did bring a good movie, and I think it changed some people's minds.
True, but I feel like Toy Story 3 needed to end right there because it showed like his childhood and then him going off to college, and then that ended there. And I feel like just adding another one on and on, like they could go Toy Story 5, Toy Story 6, Toy Story 7. So like, when will it end? Like, I don't feel like it's really necessary at this point, and because we got a really good ending from Toy Story 3, which I really liked, and I just don't want them to ruin it.
I feel like there's some room to work with it though, because they did put the toys in the care of Bonnie, I think her name is, the little girl, and I feel like we could probably get a new aspect since she's like a girl instead of Andy, who's a guy, and they kind of make a comment on maybe even gender roles. They have room for so many different things there.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, like with Toy Story 3, that one made me really, well, I was like 10 years old, but like I seriously cried in the theater when I saw it. And so I'm really not looking forward to crying again when I'm 19 years old in the theater. Like, that's not cool, especially since I always take my little brother to movies, and he always calls me out when I'm crying in the theater. He yells everywhere. He's like, why are you crying? And he says it so loud, and I'm like, great, now the whole theater knows. So I'm just
I feel like crying is an important part of a Disney movie. Like, I walked out of Coco, I was completely, like, I was gone. I had been crying for so long. My friends were sobbing. I was sobbing. I had tear streaks down my face. There's one thing about crying in the movie theater. I think it's very cathartic, and I feel like it should be accepted no matter what. It should be more normalized, because if you want to cry in the movie theater, great. Like, you have a reason to. I could be a 50-year-old man named Dan, and I could be crying in a movie theater, and no one would know what I'm crying about. I could be crying about my wife leaving me and only having a cat to, like, keep me company, but nobody knows because it's a movie.
I mean, well, even like Tim Allen was crying when he was trying to do his voiceover, or he got emotional. Like, so what does that say about like what everyone, like?
I feel like if I don't cry like a complete baby during Toy Story 4, I will be very disappointed. I want to either be completely wrecked by the ending of this movie, or it's not worth it. I want to walk out like I did during Coco, like tear streaks. Like, I want to be like unable to talk to anyone for 3 hours. Like, I will be so upset if I do not sob during the end of this movie.
So would you be satisfied, like, then if they killed off some of the characters? Would that make you cry enough that you would be satisfied?
If I saw a toy break on screen, like, if that happened, I can tell you now, the whole theater would know I'd be crying. Like, it'd be ugly, there'd be sobs, and they'd be like, please leave the theater. They'd have to escort me out. That's how bad it'd be.
Well, okay, but have you seen the teaser trailers yet?
Yes, I have.
Okay, well, what I've seen so far, I'm really like, I can't even tell what it's going to be about. There's no context. So, like, if they can't even give good context in a teaser trailer, then how do you know it's going to be a good movie? I know it's a teaser trailer, but, like, they got to give, like, hints besides those two stuffed animals.
I feel like there's more coming. I think since it's still probably in production, they kind of released that to get everyone attached. And one thing I kind of noticed with that, and one thing I kind of associate with this is having another Toy Story movie after having the trilogy for like end, quote unquote, for so long, it kind of creates this bridge between generations. So I have a lot of cousins, and many of them are 10 to 12 years younger than me, and I think it's a really cool thing to have a movie that I can go see with my cousins and kind of bond over. Like, we all know the Toy Story trilogy. I watched it as it was coming out as a kid. I grew up with it. They watched it on their ride from Wichita, Kansas to St. Louis whenever they came over for holidays, and I think it's a great feeling to be able to go to a theater and bond over something with someone who's 10 years younger than you, and bond over something that's in the middle, and you can agree on it and you can talk about it afterwards instead of kind of having to create some kind of cushion where you don't really know what to talk about with a 5-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I did enjoy Toy Story 3, but at this point, I feel like they just need to move on, you know? Come up with new characters and a new story, not just a new story.
Yeah, I feel regardless I'm going to like Toy Story because if you look at Crimes of Grindelwald, the new Harry Potter movies, they weren't necessarily the greatest movies, but it kind of has that sense where when you watch them, it puts you back in this world that you grew up with for an hour and a half. So despite the fact that Crimes of Grindelwald and the first Fantastic Beasts movie weren't they weren't the best movies, they weren't the best actors, the best storylines, I still loved it. I went in, I cried because I was put back into that Harry Potter world that I grew up with that was there for me my entire childhood. So I feel like there's always an audience for stuff like this because you'll have people who want to come back to something that's familiar. So that's a really smart move on Toy Story's part.
True. That's very true.
Well, you heard it here, folks. I win, Jacqueline loses. There will be no further debate. I have effectively crushed my opponent with my ultimate knowledge and wisdom.
Wow, Emma, I think being on the show has gone to your head a little bit.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm still the humble girl you met 3 months ago.
Whatever, Emma. For more E23 content, go to mutv.missouri.edu.
See you next semester, Tigers, and hello, Grandma.